Good morning, welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. It's still the headline from last night. I'll leave it on anyway. Martin O'Neill is set to meet Dermot Desmond this week, but last night, although it has been changed, there has been an update this morning. Last night, some bookies actually closed the betting, suspended the betting on the next Celtic manager. Last night, bookmaker Coral suspended all bets on who will become Brendan Rodgers' successor after Wilfred Nancy had a lot of money put on him. Coral said this evening it suspended betting on the next Celtic manager with Wilfred Nancy as short as 1 to 10 before they pulled the plug. Coral's John Hill said that we have had a rush of bets for Wilfred Nancy throughout the day. After sustained support this evening, we have now pulled the plug on our betting. With Columbus Crew's season now over after they fell with a playoff defeat at the weekend, it's they decided late last night, although it has changed this morning. I believe that some of those bookmakers have reopened the betting. Martin O'Neill will meet Dermot Desmond this week. That's what has been released so far. Is it a case that Celtic are maybe thinking, we'll just go with Martin O'Neill? We've got the feel-good factor back. Martin O'Neill being in the manager's seat come the AGM. Celtic are playing they're playing a game of chess just now. And they're not only playing a game of chess with the fans, but they're playing a game of chess when it comes to the success of the club next year in trying to get access to the Champions League, if you ask me, by holding back, and getting a new manager in. All it's doing is delaying things, delaying the new man getting in, making it harder for us to get the players in the next window, get players in early in the summer window, and trying to get a good push to qualify for the Champions League. Because that's where we want to be, let's face it. Although we may be whipping boys in the Champions League, but you never know. You get a good manager in that has a good ethos, work rate, physicality, fast attacking football that can be defensive when needed, and he gets the right players in the right back and by the board. God, that's when it all fell apart. It was going good. It was going really good there until we went and get the backing from the board, didn't it? Mark Keenan says, do you honestly want Nancy as the new manager? People say, what has he won? What did Neil Lennon win before? And I'm not saying that I do want him. I'm not saying I've nailed my colours to the mast weeks ago, and it wasn't Nancy. Well, I told everyone who I thought should be the next Celtic manager. I thought he would bring a lot more to it. People say he's not won anything. He's a championship manager. What do you want at Celtic? We need a reality check. I'm only just reporting what's out there this morning. Anyway, Martin O'Neill is to meet with Dermot Desmond this week. Could it be the case that Martin O'Neill is offered the position until maybe Christmas or maybe the end of the season? Would it be a good thing, or is it just a case of papering over the cracks? I'm going to be honest with you. I think, and this might go against the grain, it would be fantastic to keep Martin O'Neill as manager to the end of the season. Absolutely love it. Be brilliant. I think we'd win the treble. But we'd be papering over the cracks on a short-term basis by not bringing in someone new until the summer. And it's as simple as that. It's what you either want the club. I mean, there's everyone shouting about bringing in change for the club. It's the same people that we want out the club that are going to be picking this current manager. We're not going to get rid of them before the new manager comes in. If you want that to happen, you're then putting everything at risk for the summer. And are you willing to accept no Champions League football? And there's the poll resting. There's the poll. Right, are you willing to have no Champions League football next season to get the manager in the summer and keep Martin O'Neill till the summer? Yes or no? That's your morning poll question this morning. Are you willing to have no Champions League football next season to get the manager in the summer, to maybe try and get the board out right now, to try and wait and get change in the summer? Are you seriously prepared to put financial strain on Celtic? Remember what happens when we don't do 2 seasons in the Champions League. The wage bill then has to come down. Players are then sold. We bring in players that are cheaper players that might not be as good. The Ronnie Dyler years are the warning. The Ronnie Dyler years is what we'll have to look back on. You still won the league under Ronnie Dyler. But what would happen this year under Martin O'Neill, he will get players in the next transfer window to get us over the line. But then who decides the players that's coming in the summer? We have to put everything on hold. And are you seriously suggesting that we should delay everything until the summer, which would put at risk Champions League football for Celtic Football Club? We see the amount of people that are not interested in the Europa. And straight off the bat, there's 41 votes in, 42. 26% are saying yes. They're willing to have no Champions League football, even though the finances of the club would take a massive hit and it would take us years to get back to the financial position that we're currently in within the club. If that's what you're wanting, and the ones that said yes, tell me in the comments. Papering over the cracks with the treble. Listen to yourself, mate. Come on. It would be papering over the cracks because we wouldn't get into the Champions League. We've been papering over the cracks for 15 years. Winning trebles and everything's fine in Scottish football. What have we achieved in Europe? Nothing. Nada. Nipwa. The ambitions of Celtic Football Club should always to try and achieve the best it can in a European football. And right now, we are not. If we're happy, you sound like Peter Lawwell when you say, well, winning trebles is fucking, come on, listen to yourself. That's Peter Lawwell chat. That's Peter Lawwell that's been talking for 20 odd years at Celtic saying, all we want to do is be dominant in Scottish football. That's it. We'll win your doubles. We'll win your trebles. You know, you might not win a treble. You might win a double. You'll still win the league. And that's all we want. Seriously. If you're wanting rid of the board, you obviously have to have a change of mind on what we actually want to achieve as a club here. That's just my thoughts on it. 28% are saying yes, they're willing to have no Champions League football next season. I think that's unbelievable. I mean, there's only 58 votes in, but we're UEFA toe-to-toe champions under Ange. Shut up. Honest to God, man. Crazy chat. Right, that's the last of the comments I look at this morning, because you're just bonkers. Jesus, batshit bonkers. Britain comes into mind. Anyway, short-term answer would be Martin O'Neill coming in. Long-term answer, Wilfred Nancy coming in. It doesn't look like that we're going to get McKenna. McKenna would be my first choice. Because of what he does with the youth system, because that he would look at it as a 3 to 5 year term project. I think that McKenna, for me, the big issue with McKenna is there's a £5 million buyout clause. Celtic aren't the type of club that will go and say, yeah, he's the man that we want, and spend the £5 million. They would rather wait and say, well, there's the guy coming in, he's just won stuff in America, and he would win it. Whoever the club deems suitable, and if it is Martin O'Neill to the end of the season, we have to roll with it. But all we're doing is we're passing it down the line. You know, we're passing the buck. The reality, what I would like for the club is for them to be decisive right now, this week, get it sorted, get the team sorted before the next window, Get rid of the players that are deemed not suitable for the club, not good enough. You know, Stephen Welsh and that, all the players that are out on loan, just tell them, look, make us an offer, take the players. Lewis Palmer, make us an offer, take the player. Stephen Welsh, make us an offer, take the player. If Rocky's not to come back, make us an offer, take the player. Shin Yamada played for the B team last night and we got beat. For everyone crying out that Shin Yamada should be the next big thing, if we can spunk 5 million on Balak surely on McKenna it should be a no. JJ, you don't need to tell me about it. I mean, I think that it's unbelievable that we'll waste money on players, but when it comes to the most important person at the football club, the manager, the one who takes the hit for the bad times, the one that takes the plaudits for the good times. If we're not prepared to... We spent 9 million on Adam Ida. And okay, he scored 29 goals in a season and a half. But come on, Celtic. If you're prepared to pay someone £3 million a year, surely paying a bit of compensation to get that place in, to get that person in would be good. Mike Boy says, our current team isn't strong enough to qualify for the Champions League. We've known this since February 2025. Well, that's why you have to act now, is it not? Get the new manager in now so you can assess the team over the next month and a half through the end of November, December. Bring in players to not only get the squad over the line this year, but build for the Champions League. Get the players in early. Martin should be kept for CEO. Yep, I fully back that one. Martin O'Neill for CEO. I think that would be brilliant at the club. It would be a definite change, and it would give fans that know, like, and trust person within the board. And I think that's the big issue just now. Is Celtic don't have anyone that they know, like, and trust on the board. They know them all. They don't like them, and they don't trust them. And when it comes to going forward for the football club, we really need to change that. Remember when Souness joined George Weah's cousin? I think that's what's happened with Balak. We haven't been strong enough for 20 years. Well, maybe this is the time that we change. But then again, with the current board in play, maybe we just write off this season. Maybe we write off the season, we keep the campaign going to get rid of the board, we get rid of the board towards the end of the season, and then we start afresh. And then that's another year that you could write off in a European sense. None of us are getting any younger. I think there's quite a lot of us that would like to see Celtic having just a little bit of success in Europe, whatever that may comes under, whether it becomes getting to the last 16 and just playing in the last 16, never mind just trying to qualify to get into the last 16, maybe it's getting to the last 8. Maybe that's success in the Champions League. Because we're never going to get any further than that. Maybe getting another run in the Europa and getting to the Europa League final and even winning it. Maybe that's success. But as it's going just now, there's nothing on the horizon to say that Celtic will ever in the next 2 or 3 years under the same board, picking the manager, been lackadaisical, been indecisive, been slow on the uptake to get someone in quick and fully back them the way that we need to. And that's never going to change, is it, with the board that we have? But then, a lot of people are saying, it's only a helicopter. It's a post going up and down the coast. 94 votes in. Are you willing to have no Champions League football next season to get the manager in the summer and keep Martin O'Neill? 33% say yes. Yeah, fuck Champions League football. 67 in the heat of bliss. 67% said no. They're not willing to have no Champions League football. And you have to think about the financial repercussions that would have. Celtic would struggle in the Conference League just now, says Celtic lad. Well, JJ says the depressing thing is about the whole situation that there are so many good ideas floating around. Everyone knows we need a reboot and what we need doing, but just not knowing it's going to happen. I think that, we all need what we need. We all need a reset like we had in 2020. Let's be fair. We need that, and it doesn't even have to be to the extent that we had in 2020, because there isn't a mass clear out of players needed. Martin O'Neill has shown us that. Martin O'Neill has shown us that there's not a mass clear out of players. The players that we deemed were absolute garbage are starting to show a little bit of, football delight to the fans under Martin O'Neill. Tanekti is out of the Tunisia squad due to thigh injury. One thing that Martin O'Neill has said, one thing that the previous manager has said, is we need depth in the squad. Now, I blame the previous manager for us not having depth in the squad, because the previous manager said, I don't want a big squad. Robert is still in, for what I believe, he's still in Brazil. I don't think he's in Spain. I think he's still in Brazil. But anyway, that's enough about him. That is enough about him. He's caused enough pain to Celtic over the years. Well, not all the years, because he was successful. But the thing is, the second time back, he wasn't as successful as Ange. Ange won 5. Brendan Rodgers won 4. Interesting. But Brendan Rodgers had us playing better when it comes to the Champions League. And what you need is a manager in between. A manager that can keep on going with sustained domestic success. But we need a manager who is savvy enough and has the tactical awareness to change games, change formations mid-game. Ange Postecoglou didn't do it. He kept on going with his style of football. He changed it. Funnily enough, he changed it when it came to the Europa with Spurs. He went all defensive minded, which was very unlike Ange. Brendan Rodgers changed tactics in Italy last season in the Champions League, went all defensive. You can see the similarities. We need a manager that is prepared to dig deep and go defensive. I know that Celtic are all about fast attacking football and, that's the Celtic way and everything. But when it comes to the big league and the big boys, sometimes you have to just dig in to get that draw, to not get absolutely hammered. A 0-0 draw in Europe's still a big thing for Celtic. Getting beat the way that we do get beat in the European scene is we can't keep on going on and saying it's naive. It's naive of the players. If that's the case, the people, thank goodness the chief scout has now left Celtic, because I think that he's done absolutely no good to Celtic over the last couple of years. If he's the man that's brought in and advised the manager for all the players that we've brought in, it's been part of the problem. Big part of it. Still on 67% for no, they're not willing to have no Champions League football next season. That's an iconic little number. Hope it stays like that. And 33% say, yeah, I don't want Champions League football. Just get the manager out, keep Martin O'Neill to the end of the season. It's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. Hopefully we might get some kind of news this week, even if it is just Martin O'Neill staying until the end of the season. I'd back that. I would. But you've also got to look down the line. Do you know what I mean? It would be fantastic. But then again, that would be the board. If the board are trying to disrupt the fans and the fan movement, what is the easiest way to disrupt the fan movement to get change at the club? And that's to keep a man that they love at the club, Martin O'Neill. that's another reason I think that it wouldn't be. Sorry, but no Champions League football next year is not even debate, not even close to a debate. Simply can't happen. It's one of the comments. Keep Martin O'Neill to the cup final and bring in the Bodo manager. But John Tortube, he's not going to be available till after January, after the Champions League campaign's over. That goes into the end of January, February. That's no good for Celtic trying to get into the Champions League. I mean, I get what you're saying. Keep Martin O'Neill just now. Fantastic. Let him get to Hampden. Let him win the game at Hampden. Let him get to that little bit of success that he deserves and requires. He's a Celtic legend. It would just keep his legendary status up there. But you have to think sometimes for the betterment of the club. And then you've got to think, what are the board really thinking? Because the board are fighting a few battles here. They're battling the Celtic fan base to try and stop a fan movement to eject them from the premises. They've got that in the back of their mind. And it's one of those things, isn't it? He's been sounding like he wants out of Bodo, and yeah, he has. But he's also been talking like Brendan Rodgers. He's been throwing players under the bus. He's been talking about the schedule. He's been talking about too many games. I'm not sure if that's the guy that we want at the club. As the people who want no Champions League football, there has to be Rangers fans voting on this. Surely. It cannot be 35% of Celtic fans on this morning cannot be seriously saying no to Champions League football. I just find that smurs. The board are clowns. Yeah, the board are clowns. I would keep Martin O'Neill if we don't get the man we want, plus the team of players to come back and get some signings in January. We would be winning the league anyway. Yeah, that's fine. And it's all fine winning the league. But then you're walking straight into the palm. You're basically the little soldiers in the palm of Lawwell, because that's what he's wanted for Celtic for 20 years. European football is just a bonus. It's just a bonus payment to the club. Keeps up the profitability. Don't know enough about these managers, but I want stability at Celtic Park as soon as possible, says Brian. Yep, that's what we all want. But I think for long-term stability, and there is several things that the fans would love to have. In an ideal world, Dermot Desmond, in an ideal world, in some kind of euphoric green and white loveland that doesn't exist, we'd all walk up to Celtic Park tomorrow. Dermot Desmond would have had a meeting with Martin O'Neill. He would come out and make an announcement that Peter Lawwell and co have left the building. Replacements are coming in imminently. That Martin O'Neill will be the manager till the end of the season, but a new manager will be brought in with the view to taking over the reins. Celtic will pay for the two managers to be at Celtic Park, to allow Martin O'Neill to keep the team together and to keep the fan base together with the players and the excitement going forward. But the new man is here. He's in the building. He's working with Martin O'Neill to see what players are needing shipped out, to see what players we can bring in the next window, and then ultimately to take over the reins at the end of the season with his own stamp, his own players. But that's not going to happen, is it? Baz, I think Lawwell will be stepping down at the next AGM. That's a rumour that's going around. I don't think it. I don't think that would happen somehow. I'm not too sure. If it does, why would they want to do it then? Why make it? You would make an announcement before the AGM. Maybe he is going to make an announcement. Too much change at one time, maybe not a good thing. Manager first, then scouting, then the board. Well, it needs to be. We need a new chief scout anyway. So maybe the new manager coming in, and maybe this is why there's change as well. Maybe a new manager, maybe Celtic have already spoken to someone and they've said, look, we've had a look at your scouting guy and he's not very good. I want to bring my own scouting guy in. I want to bring my own team in. Say we actually get a manager that goes, no, fuck this. I want my own team in. I want my own backroom staff in. I want these medical guys that I've worked with before that have kept my players 100% fit. And I want these scouts that I've worked with before. I want them with me because they know the players that I like. They know the type of player that I like. They know the type of player to go and get for me. Maybe all that change could happen. Maybe that could happen. Right, one more vote and I'm going to close the vote down because the yesers are moving up. Has to be Rangers fans, seriously. Are you Rangers in disguise? Yes, you are. End that poll. Fantastic poll this morning. It was, are you willing to have no Champions League football next season to get the manager in the summer and keep Martin O'Neill to the end of the season? 37% say yes. 63% said no. It's unthinkable that getting no manager in before then. Anyhow, a lot of the media are starting to talk about Wilfred Nancy being tipped, which means that he's probably not going to get the job, because as soon as all the mainstream media start talking about it, that's generally the nail in the coffin to anyone who's going to get the Celtic manager's job. Celtic announced fixture change to accommodate the Premier. Because that's on a Saturday, isn't it? Celtic faced St Mirren on the 14th of December for the first bit of silverware. The game at Brockville's been moved. When to though? Wednesday the 14th of January. Just check the Celtic. We can confirm that our Premiership fixture against Falkirk will now take place at 7:45 on Wednesday the 14th of January. Interesting. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. Have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.